wake up to a dawn that whispers hope, chasing dreams with heart and scope. Unique, it guides us through the strife, building blocks of a better life. Money flows like rivers. Welcome back to The Blueprint. I'm your host, Unique, your career and life coach with a passion for empowering others on their journey. Today, we're diving into a topic that is close to my heart, women in business. Whether you're a woman aspiring to start your own business or someone who supports women in their entrepreneurial journey, this conversation is for you. As a woman in business myself, I know the challenges, the triumphs firsthand. I'm excited to introduce today's incredible guest, Stephanie Cole Brown, a longtime friend. We go way back. She's now a network marketer and a travel advisor leading a team of over 500. And Ashley Session, a senior business manager and the creative force behind Sweet Session. And let me tell you, her cake is to die for. So each of these women bring a wealth of experience and insights, and I can't wait for us to learn from them. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Let's jump right in. Stephanie, you've been in Planet Marketing since what, about 2016? For me, I knew that starting a business meant finding a deeper purpose beyond just business itself. What initially inspired you to take this path, and how has your purpose evolved over time?
So I started Planet Marketing in 2019, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit later than 2016. When I started Planet Marketing, the need was not there, the purpose was not created or crafted as yet. I really just started the business out of just the desire of wanting more. I know that all of us on the line can attest to just that thing in your heart that tells you that there's more to life than just working a 9 to 5 and coming home, watching TV and Netflix, going back to work, working a 9 to 5. Like that cycle really
Mm-hmm.
bothered me. And I knew that I was created for more. And so in that 2000, early 2000 region, it was a time when people were looking for online businesses. And I was just looking for something to do online, not
Yeah,
necessarily to search for no big purpose, but just looking for something to do. And it just so happened that I found this business opportunity.
very good. And during that time or earlier, a little bit earlier, I was on my journey of this whole online business concept as well. So I can definitely attest to just wanting more. And over time, the desire to help others just came along with that. So, Ashley, tell us how you got started into business with Sweet Session and how your corporate skills, because you're what, a manager, um, one of those big positions, guys. um,
Yeah, my story is much different than Stephanie's. I had no intentions on starting a business. I literally, Sweet Sessions came about from helping my cousin. She
hmm,
wanted to make a diaper cake. I was a little crafty. I watched my mom do crafts. I helped her out a little bit, but I didn't really let her know all that I knew to do because that meant I would have to help her. Right. And at that age, nobody really is interested in doing arts and crafts. So
yeah.
fast forward all these years later, my cousin says, "Hey, I need you to help me with this diaper cake." I go over and help her with it. And so that sparked something. People were like, "Oh, I need a diaper cake. That's something unique for a baby shower." So that kind of started that journey. And then I was at Michael's picking up some crafts to do a diaper cake. And I saw the flyer for cake decorating classes. And
Mm,
so I said, why not? I don't have anything else going on at the moment. Let's go do it. And then I felt like it would give me additional ideas on how to decorate the diaper cakes themselves, but instead it turned into a whole cake business. So
wow.
for me, just posting pictures online of what I did in class to, hey, I need a cake, I need a cake, I need a cake. And here we are, ooh,
Yeah.
about 13, 14 years later.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great. So,
yeah,
do you think any of your previous skills in corporate
contributed to how you approached cake business overall?
Yeah, it did. So my background is in accounting and finance, and then I spent a lot of time doing implementation training, right? So kind of all over the board. I've done a lot of different things, from master business analyst. So a lot of those things kind of help me sit down, forecast, if I want to try a different flavor, sitting down, looking at the ingredients, the cost of ingredients, being able to actually price what that really looks like so that I'm making a profit and I'm taking into consideration overhead, things that most people don't normally think about. I had that inside scoop because I did have that corporate experience.
That's good. And I think one of the things that you and I have in common is we're both in the creative space.
Mm-hmm.
So while you are creating cakes, I do flyers and business cards and logos and stuff like that. And so it requires a creativity and strategic thinking. How do you manage a customer's expectation versus creative vision? Because sometimes we want to do it this way because this is how we see it and this is how we think it makes more sense. But how do you balance their expectation with how you vision stuff?
So the first thing is, most of the time people have this idea of what they want, right? They saw this picture somewhere. I want it to look just like this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my first thing is that is somebody else's work.
Yeah.
So I have to set the expectation that my work is not their work.
Yeah.
It would not be fair to them for me to try to replicate their work and make it mine. I can draw inspiration from that cake, but the more creative that I am is when I'm allowed to just kind of do. So if somebody says, hey, I need a cake, these are the colors, here are the favorite things. I find that those tend to be the better cakes, in my opinion, because of course, as a creative, we are sensitive about our work.
Yeah.
So I find the times that sometimes when I'm copying somebody else's work or trying to mimic somebody else's work, I don't feel like it's my best. But if I have creative license, then I feel like, it's the best thing since sliced bread. But I also, like I said, set those expectations to say, hey, this is what you're asking for. This picture is fondant. You're asking for buttercream. There are going to be some discrepancies. So I want to set an expectation up front. So just having that conversation and communicating.
Yes, I agree with that. One of the most important lessons that I've learned is that your network can either make you or break your journey. Stephanie, as a recruiter with such a large team, what strategies have been essential for you in building a supportive network?
I think with growing such a large team and the network overall, you have to do a lot of work, personal development work for yourself. You have to know what goals do you have that you desire to achieve overall, right? And then you go ahead and you craft or design the network around those goals. So with building a large team, even though I'm on social media, I'm looking for a particular kind of person, right? We call it the customer persona. There's somebody specific that I'm speaking to, right? When I talk to people on social media, I know that I'm not speaking to the person that gives up easily or the person that does not have particular skills that I'm looking for. When I speak to them on social media, there is a particular customer person that I'm speaking to, that I know the language that I'm speaking, they understand my voice, and when I make that call, they're going to come, right? So to get that network built up, you need to know what you are, what are you looking for, what are you moving towards, right? And then you start to attract those similar mindsets. So that's what I do as it relates to my network. And then surprisingly, I don't want to say surprisingly, but it happens so naturally, right? So for example, with me being a teacher, I was in the classroom, I naturally do attract a lot of teachers because I speak again to those skills that you spoke about before, that you already have these skills. You already know how to take a blueprint and move from the blueprint to actually building a business, right? I speak to the skills that they already have. So in essence, I'm really pulling that network. So knowing exactly what you are and what you're going for helps you to attract a network that you want.
This is very good and so insightful. Basically, understanding who your target audience is and working to get those people in front of you. Because the reality is, we can go on social media and we can talk and we can talk, but at the end of the day, we're not expecting that everybody's going to receive the message, because not everybody's interested in what we're talking about. So you made a valid point that once you understand the concept of how social media works and your target audience, then it makes it a whole lot easier for you. Ashley, do you want to add anything to that?
Knowing your target audience is key. And I'm speaking from both sides of the coin because, of course, I have the consulting business as well. And so one of the things in working with small business owners, to Stephanie's point, you've got to know your audience. There are a lot of people who have great ideas and they want to be in business, but they don't have the wherewithal to really withstand the challenges that come along with running a business. It is not easy. I think a lot of times people make entrepreneurship glamorous, but there are times where it is not glamorous. There are nights where you may not sleep.
Yeah.
Because you're up worrying about and trying to figure out a certain problem or trying to, figure out how you're going to network to get to the next goal. There are a lot of things that don't get talked about with entrepreneurship. And so making sure that you know your audience and making sure that they are on the same path that you are on, those like-minded people. Like Stephanie said, if you have your thoughts and your attitude in the right place, you'll start to draw in like-minded people. And that is definitely key. I have noticed that when I shift my mindset, then the people that I started to attract shifts as well.
That's true. Because sometimes we really do get caught up with, we're not attracting the right people. But even on social media, when you boost a post, they ask you specifically, who are you trying to target? Who are you trying to get in front? They're not trying to send your post to every single person, because there's always a certain demographic, a certain age group, a certain type of people that you need to target. So that's great. So Stephanie, as a mom and a wife and a business owner, I know how tricky it can be to balance everything. How do you currently approach balancing your personal life with the demand of your growing business?
Well, let me just be vulnerable and just say, okay, it's a very difficult task, and it's also difficult depending on where I am in the stages of my life, right? So to the question, with balancing both business and being a mom, I just from the get-go know that I won't be a perfect wife and a perfect mom all the time. It's all about priorities, right? So some days, depending on what goal I'm working on in my business, then my business will have the upper hand, right? And that time I will seem to everybody else like I'm a bad mom. And there are some instances where my son's priority is going to be higher, and so I'm going to be spending time there. But when it comes on to that balance in the household, really, for me, it's really a blessing to have a partner that is really supportive. So we do, for example, we do run busy lives too, but we have a plan as to what we want our lives to look like. So my husband and I, we do share, for example, a calendar. So I know what's happening with him, and he knows what's happening with me. So we support each other, right? So for example, today I have this recording with you. He knows that when he gets home, he has my son in the background, right? So it's a situation where we buy into each other's vision and all of that. And it's not just the balance of just being the wife and the mom, but there's also the balance of being a daughter and a sister that also tugs on me too. Because when you are the oldest child in, for example, in my family, there's a lot of expectation that is there. Before I started my business, it used to be a thing where I called my grandmother 1 hour on the phone, 30 minutes, 2 hours chatting it up, talking about past life, and we're laughing. And it became, when I just started the business, it was very stressful for them to adapt to this new me, because they used to call and I used to decline the calls. I used to cut it off. I used to never call them back. And it was like a tension thing, like, oh, you feel like you're rich now, or something like that, right? But the more you stuck to the journey and you stick to what is it that you're doing, and now you start to become the evidence, then their perspective of you start to switch. So now when my grandmother, almost 80, calls me, she asks, do you have a meeting? Is it a good time to talk to you, right? And
Yeah.
to hear those conversations and to have that buy-in was really important for me, because over here, I know that I'm working on something, not just for myself, but for my family. So I think the overall balance is never perfect when it comes on to being a mom or a wife or a friend or a daughter or a sister. But it's really about the priorities at the different points in time and what is it that you're working with. But I can absolutely say that sometimes as women, we struggle with really asking for help
Yeah.
and these situations and really figuring out. We're thinking that we have to do it all in order to seem like we are truly successful if we got it all the hats on. But I've learned in my journey that it's really better when you are able to collaborate and get the buy-in and the support system. That's how you are able to operate even effectively. So to answer your question, there's really no balance over here. We're still juggling it, but it's priorities at different points in the journey.
Wow. That was a mouthful, and I can definitely resonate to it, because now I'm starting to feel okay. Whew, I am not a bad mom. Because a lot of women go through that. All right, how do I balance this? If I don't give my child all the attention in the world, then am I considered a bad mom? Do I have to not pursue my dreams and my goals in order to maintain a family? So the key that I'm hearing from Stephanie is you have to have a partner who supports your dream and really want to see you strive, along with a partner who also is hands-on with the kids. You can't be with somebody that leaves the kid to you and be like, this is your duty. I'm handling my business. You handle your business. You have to have somebody who supports you. And I always tell people this, with everything that I have juggling and going on in my life, I cannot be with somebody who is not supportive. I cannot be with somebody who doesn't understand my drive and my desire. And sometimes they say it's a third world country drive, but at the same time, the drive still exists, and I still want more. I don't want to come on this earth, have these desires, and only become a wife. So I've said a lot. Ashley, anything you want to add to any of that, especially from what Stephanie said about family and balancing it all? It's a lot.
It's definitely a lot. I will say last year was a very trying time. I had just started the consulting business, and everything happens for a reason, and we never understand, when it happens, what the reason is, right? So I lost my corporate job last March, started my
Mm-hmm.
business in May, and then my mother had a fall. And
Mm.
so literally I had to shift,
Yeah.
and my parents became my first priority. And because I was an entrepreneur, I was able to make that shift and move essentially to Alabama for 6 months out of the year. Like every 2 weeks, I was in Alabama, but I had that flexibility. And then I was able to, again, help with my parents with what they had going on. I was able to find that balance. So even with, me going to Alabama for 2 weeks out of the month, I still had to find the balance where I still took care of Ashley. Because
Yeah.
if I didn't take care of Ashley, even being a caretaker of my parents,
Yes.
yeah, if I don't take care of me, who I can't take care of anybody else. I can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so I think even in that, I had to do some unlearning, because a lot of times we're taught that it's selfish to take
Mm-hmm.
care of self, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. You've got to find that balance, and you've got to find that time for self, to pour into self first before you can pour into anybody else. It's like they say when you get on the plane, put your mask on first before you can put on anybody else's, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's deep. That's deep, because if we're not good, we can't we won't be good for others. You can't go around just pouring into everyone else's cup and your cup is just getting empty. It doesn't work like that. So, listeners, if you are looking to get into business, bear in mind that it's not going to be easy, especially if you have a 9 to 5, and you have kids and you have a husband or a wife. It's never going to be easy. Um, One of the other things that we as women face is imposter syndrome, especially when we have leadership roles. How have each one of you dealt with feelings of self doubt or imposter syndrome throughout your career?
I mean, I can start with that. So with me, I am a travel advisor and I'm also a network marketer. So the imposter syndrome for me came while I was building my team, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for those who don't know what network marketing is, we get a chance to basically recruit people that want to start a business online, right?
Yeah.
And I am in the travel business, Yannick, and I was not really traveling vastly. That was not
Yeah.
my first go-to, right? So here I am selling a dream that I am also growing into, right? And
Yeah.
so, at different points in time, it came to me like, oh, how is it that you are selling all of this and you don't even know anything greatly about this travel industry and all of that?
Yeah.
You're just, you know, that those thoughts that just come to you to say, okay, you don't really know a lot, you don't have any opportunities here. You're not supposed to be taking up in this space here because you don't really know a lot. Just wait your turn. And those kind of feelings of
Yeah.
that make you feel insecure, right? Making you feel like you can't do it because you don't have all the knowledge right now, right?
Yeah.
So when I started out in my network marketing journey, and even as a travel advisor, I struggled with that a little bit. But one of the things that helped me was that thing that you spoke about, Yannick, was just that drive. Like, that you can do it. You
Yeah.
know that you have the ability to, if you are taught a thing, you can do a thing. So that also grounded me. So I really became a student of my industry, right? I became a student of travel. I became a student of network marketing, started to know everything I needed to know about operating a travel agency and also enrolling people as travel agents. And the more that you learn about the businesses, the better that you get, right? And
Yeah.
that's when the imposter syndrome starts to decrease because now you start to gain that confidence, right? And again, really surrounding yourself with those people that have already walked that path. We spoke about coaching and some other of your episodes and really help you along your journey. So I have felt a little bit insecure in my journey, but one of the things that has helped me is just knowing in my heart that I can do it
Yeah.
and really working on those skill set as I go along in the business.
That's very good. I think I lost confidence, and a lot of people would probably be like, "Yannick, lose confidence? What? That's not. That's not even possible." But you know me. You know what I was doing when I was in Jamaica. So moving to America changed my mindset completely. I was like, I had a lot of self doubt, a lot of confidence issue. Am I still capable of doing this? Was I successful in Jamaica because people needed me? Now that I'm here where everybody has their own thing going on, I felt like I was a fish on dry land, not knowing which direction to turn, not not being quote unquote praised for the work that I was doing in Jamaica, the people that I was helping, the training that I was providing. And so being here and nobody cared for what I had to provide, I felt lost. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to start over. And then becoming a mom and losing time, I started thinking, no, I don't feel myself anymore because the drive, the desire, the person that I used to be, the go getter mentality, the get up and go and just do anything, I couldn't do that anymore. I now had a baby that I had to be confined to taking care of. So a part of me felt like life is over. I know I'm now just a mom. I am not a businesswoman anymore. And so over time, it all starts here, guys. It starts in the mind You have to train your mind to believe that you can do anything you put your mind to. It took a while for me to get back to this point, but I'm here. And so that's my struggle. Ashley, what's yours?
I will say my struggle is kind of similar to yours to a degree, right? So being in corporate and having a corporate job since I was 16 or working since I was 16 to then go from having that to not having anything at all. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
can I really do cakes full time? Can I really make a living doing this full time? Like, is this really, like, is this lucrative? Like, people buy cakes, yeah, but like, is it going to be consistent enough? Am I going to really be able to do what I need to do? Like, I think I'm good, but am I really,
Mm-hmm.
like, am I really that good? It's like, yeah, people call me the cake lady. People say, every time they see me, they're asking about cake, but am I really, like, am I really that good to do this full time, And then to lose the corporate job altogether and now have to do the consulting thing. And even with that, it was like, there's obviously a reason, there's a purpose. I was brought
Yeah.
here for a reason. And it's the thing, like you hear it all the time, if you grew up in church, you just take the first step and
Yes.
God will do the rest. And it's like, okay, I hear that and I know that, but I'm no, like, no,
Yeah.
like seriously, like, and then at one point I was like, I had to kind of change my mindset. Like you said, it's all about the mental, change your
Mm-hmm.
mindset. I started changing the things that I would listen to. I started changing the music I was listening to. I started listening to more, affirmation type music. I started meditating more. I started, just changing my mindset and realizing, like Stephanie said, it's already within you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with what's already in you? Like, you gotta get out of your own way. You gotta get out of your head. You gotta take
Yeah.
this. And this wasn't put in your face just for you not to do anything with it. There's something for you to do with it. Somebody's going to benefit from it. You just got to do what you're supposed to do, and the rest he'll work out.
Yes. That's good. Um, it's never gonna be easy. We're gonna have times where we question ourselves, but if it's something that you have successfully done before, just know that it's in you, and you just have to convince yourself and remind yourself that you are capable of doing it. In the coaching business, as I mentioned, I'm a coach. In the coaching business, we don't tell you what to do. We pull it out of you because it's already in you. You already know what you want to do. So it's asking you the right question to help you to get there. And that's one of the primary reason why having a coach is important, is to help you to really think about where you want to go. But that's for a different conversation. One of the things that we experience as women in business is sometimes the biases in corporate, in our career, in our businesses. We experience where certain opportunities may not come our way because, one, we're black women, and two, for me, I'm living in a country that I wasn't even born in. So there is that bit of bias and challenge that we face. So have you guys experienced any of that? Stephanie?
No, I wouldn't like when I talk to black women on a whole, like when we talk to we meet and talk amongst each other, people do share that sentiment of not getting opportunities because they're black and all of that. But as a person, I'm just getting up into the business and even into corporate setting. But that's not my experience.
I've definitely experienced the biases. The the last role I was in, I feel like I was what they call quiet fired or quietly fired from that
Mm,
role. And there was a lot of bias there. I was the only black on the team and the only black woman on the team, so there was a lot of isolation. No matter how many times I said, "Hey, I'm on this island by myself."
yeah.
So have I experienced any of that as running my own businesses? No. I have not, but in having conversation with other Black women who are doing various types of businesses, have a young lady I was speaking to who has a business. She's in Dubai. She has a perfume business. And having a conversation with her, she expressed some of the biases that she experienced and
Yeah.
how a lot of times that, as crazy as it sounds, when she sends an email, she will sign it as a male
Mm.
because they will respond faster,
Yeah.
or they treat her different because they think they're talking to a man versus talking to a woman.
Right. That's interesting. I've experienced where men actually tries to take advantage because you're a woman. And so it may, while I have never really experienced the oh you're black kind of situation, I've experienced where it was this happened when I was younger, but still it's a story that needs to be said because a lot of women are experiencing these things where men are actually hiring you or taking you on or giving you opportunity because they have ulterior motive. I remember when I just started working, I went in as a graphic designer. Started within 3 days, the owner came to me and he said, "Hey, I'm promoting you to assistant manager." In my mind, in my young self, I'm like, assistant manager so soon, so young. I'm excited, but also curious as to how did I accomplish this so soon? Got a role, and that was a disaster because he definitely had motive. His motive was, if I give her this role, she will allow me to take advantage. She will allow me to do what I want with her. And so that job was short lived. So as women, we're going to experience some of those things. We're going to experience the gender bias, the what do you call the race bias. We're going to experience men who just feel as if they can have their way because you're young and maybe they think that you're naive, but you have to stay grounded. You have to stay strong. You have to be assertive. No matter what anybody wants to say about you, stay assertive. All right. So this is another big one that is important for us women to make sure that we're doing the right thing as it relates to a strong personal brand. We know that this can definitely set us apart. What you put out there, how you lead, how you show up indicates how a person or your customers will react to you, how they will treat you. Um, so, what approach has been what approach have you taken when it regards to building a personal brand that reflects who you are both personally and professionally, Stephanie?
Definitely, the personal branding is very important for me. I'm very intentional about it. I'm very intentional about how I show up on social media, what I do, what I comment on, how I dress, who I get tagged in. Like everything that happens on social media is calculated for me. Like I
Mm.
try my best to put those systems in place so that I'm not aligned with certain activities or certain people, right? There are certain topics on social media too. You have some persons on social media that will take on every topic because they want to put their opinions out there. But really and truly, there are certain topics that I stay away from. Topics on religion, topics on politics. I really don't dive into those topics on social media. As it relates to even personal branding, overall as a person, when I, for example, even going to the airport, just like as a business owner, I don't go to the airport in bonnets. I don't go to the airport in flip-flops. I go to the airport expecting, with a spirit of expectation, that I might meet somebody that could be a potential customer or a business
Yeah.
partner. So I shop like that, right? So everything that I do online and offline is very intentional, right? The events that I go to are also very intentional as it relates to my personal branding. So it's a very intentional act that I do, that I'm aware of. And every day, it's not something that I have perfected. Every day I'm looking at a unique, I'm looking at an Ashley, I'm seeing what are the best practices, what's working for them, what I can adopt on my
Yeah.
side in order to become better, right? Who out there has a brand that I love, that I want to bring as a part of mine, right? So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a consistent evolution and growth as it relates to personal branding. But I know that I want to have a strong brand and a brand that aligns with my values, and I'm consistently working on that.
Nice. I love that. Ashley, what about your branding?
So over the years, my participation on social media has tremendously decreased. So my
Mm-hmm.
personal brand is one that I probably need to work on, right? Because I don't really have much of a personal social presence online. Anybody who looks at my page is going to think that she does nothing but work out.
Yeah.
They know that I love my family, and they know that I have the cake business and the consulting business, and that's pretty much it. Just like to Stephanie's point, excuse me, I don't dibble and dabble in a lot of the topics that show up on social media, just because those are boundaries that I put in place for myself. Because I know that if I engage into some of that stuff, I then start to take on, some of that energy. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's not conducive to where I'm trying to go. So, like to Stephanie's point again, I'm looking at certain people. I'm only following certain people. I'm only looking at certain types of content that is either going to help me build my brand, build my business, market my business, things that are going to help me grow. Nothing that is going to deter me from where I need to be. But it took me a while to get there as well, because I'm not going to lie, there was a point in time where I didn't think I would ever have a business. So I probably engaged in a lot of things in social
Yeah.
media, but not anymore. You grow, you learn, and you just start to do things a little differently.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those Facebook reminder of years ago? You're like, is that me?
Hmm. Facebook has a way of reminding you. It's like, I thought I
But
forgot about that. Thanks, Facebook.
but the good thing is when it reminds you, if you are not in that same place, if you can look at that and say, thank God you
The
saved me.
growth.
It's
Yes.
yeah, if you can look at it and be like, okay, I can see the growth. I'm not here doing the same thing I was doing 10 years ago, then it means that you're improving. So, um I've been there, and personal branding is key to me as well. I everybody knows I love to take pictures, so that's in itself my hobby. That's what I like to do. I love to take pictures of myself, but at the same time, when it comes to business, I take that very seriously. I show up how I want people to see me, the things that I do. I'm into graphic designing, so logos, business cards. I help people to actually brand their business and show up how they want to show up for their customers. So I also have to do the same for anything that I put my hands on as well. All right. So one of the key things is when people are thinking about starting their own business, the first thing that comes to mind at times is I don't have the money to start, or how can I quit my 9 to 5 and focus on business when I have bills to pay? I need that financial stability. Did you have any particular strategies when it comes to funding your business, or lesson learned around budgeting or finance to actually stay afloat, considering that you are into business? Ashley.
Um, I, I'm the person who did not do this the traditional way, right? Like, so,
Yeah.
I was working my 9 to 5, had no intentions. And so I kind of ended up here.
Yeah.
I didn't have the funding. I literally was in one of those situations where it was like, God said move, and I moved.
Yeah.
And I have not missed out on anything as a result. But what I will say is that it will not be everybody's story, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there will be people who will need to, like, I built my cake business for years before I did it on my own. So, I would work it on the side.
Yeah.
So I would say if you have a 9 to 5, don't quit your 9 to 5 to start entrepreneurship if you don't have a reserve built up,
Yeah.
because there will be months where you won't have customers. And then you're going to be trying to figure out, how do I make these bills happen? And I quit my 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
So my advice, do not quit your 9 to 5 job. Continue to work and build your business, get things put in place. Start working on your branding, start working on your website. Those things you can do while you're still working your 9 to 5. You can still find funding while you're working your 9 to 5 until you get to a place where you are ready to leave your 9 to 5. But do not leave your 9 to 5 without having
A solid plan.
substantial funding and a plan in place, and don't be afraid to go back to corporate if you get out here in the entrepreneurship world and it's not working or not moving as fast as you feel like it should, because it takes time.
Yeah.
The first 5 years, it's a baby. It's in its infancy stage. It's just like a newborn. You can't leave a newborn by themselves. You have to care. There's a lot of pieces that you have to put into it, and it's no different when you're building a business from the ground up. So my advice, do not quit your job. Locate the funding, the grants. The stuff is out there. Just don't quit your job because you don't like it or you think that entrepreneurship is where you need to be.
You guys, you hear that? Put the baby in daycare and go to your work, go to your job until the baby's old enough to walk. You don't want to prematurely quit your job and then you're like, oh my gosh, this didn't work out. What do I do? And as Ashley said, don't be afraid to actually go back to your 9 to 5. A lot of people don't want the eyes on them. Oh, their business failed and now they're back in the 9 to 5. You cannot listen to what people have to say or watch what people are doing. It may not work for you today, but Colonel Sanders, how many times what age did he start? He started at 65. And so you can try and fail. Edison, what's his name again? Edison, oh my God. He tried like 1,000 times before he created the light bulb. So you can fail and start over and fail and start over. It's not the end of the world. Stephanie, do you want to add anything to how you got started, the financial aspect of it? Because I know within your business, a lot of people will say, no, if I have to pay to start, I don't want to start at all. So what would you say as it regards to that?
Yeah, I do get that a lot. If I have to pay to start, I don't want to start. And I'm like, find a business that you can start for free. And know about it. There's no business out there, right? But number one, you have to see the situation that you're in and want to change it, right? And that's what we spoke about before when we spoke about looking at our target audience and who we are attracting to the business. Usually the people that come to me as a network marketer are the people that are in corporate, Ashley, are still living paycheck to paycheck, and they figured out a way. They figured out that, hey, there's a way that I can supplement my income. I can do that using an online business, right? So when I realized that the payment to start my business came from my salary, that's what I used. Mm-hmm. And while I was building the business, while I was growing the business, there's something there's a concept that I like to talk about, which is called delayed gratification. Like that microwave society that we live in, that we want to start the business today and make $1 million tomorrow or rich, quit our 9 to 5, like that's not a thing. Like when you start a business, as you rightfully said, Ashley, it's a baby. You have to, even within a year of being in that business, you have to take the time to learn that business, to really craft the value that you're bringing to your customer, to work on yourself, right? I was reading this weekend and it says that, I've read a quote that said, if you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'm going to spend 4 of those hours working on sharpening the axe, right? Mm-hmm. And 2 hours cutting down the tree, right? What the author is really saying is that you really have to work on yourself, sharpen yourself, so that when you start attacking and cutting down that tree, it goes down faster. Can you imagine cutting down a tree and the axe is dull? Right? Yeah. Your work is going to be 10 times more. So with starting a business, there's a lot of delayed gratification that takes place. When I started my travel agency, actually my first commission was $25, and I was like, man, $25, the average person might look at that and say, what's that to be earning in a business? But in my mind, I said, if I got paid $25, I can get paid $250. I can get paid 25,000. I can get paid even more than that, right? So the business will grow based on the amount of personal development that you have, right? So that idea of delayed gratification is very important for you when you start a business, knowing that you're building something, you're working on something, and you know that the value that you're bringing, actually, you know that those cakes are going to be good when somebody gets them. You just need to get to the right target audience for them to really see the value and be willing to pay the price for your coaching, Yannick. When they meet you, they're willing to pay for that coaching because you're good at what you do. You know the value that you bring to them. But you have to take some time to work on Yannick, work on that business so that you can find the ideal person. So as you said, don't be quitting those 9-to-5s to start no business, but just understand that it's a process. And when you get it, you get it, right? And when you see the result, it's going to be so fulfilling, and you will know the right time to move away from that 9-to-5 and do your business full time, right? It's all a process, and you just have to just be prepared to take those baby steps as you get to that top point that you're trying to get to.
Yes. One of the other things as we talk about finances is setting our prices. And people typically want to cry down or beg or try to bargain your price. But what I will say to you, the listener, the entrepreneurs, is set your price. Because I have a story about that. There was a house that I was trying to buy here in Georgia. And when I saw it, I said, you know what? So let me put in an offer and see if I get it so I can start Airbnb with it. But when I saw it, the vision that I had was to rent it for $200 a night. I didn't get it. I got another house, and indeed, the same vision was executed. I rented it for $150 a night, $150 to $200 a night. The one that I didn't get, another Jamaican lady got it, and she rented that house for $1,000 a night. And guess what? It stayed booked. And her concept was, even if I got 3 nights booked, my mortgage will be paid and the people that I'm targeting will come. Because when I set my price lower, I ended up having people with guns at my house, people who are fighting and stuff like that. When she set her price the way that she set it, she basically attracted the elite, because now they see this as an expensive spot and this is the kind of place that I want to stay. Not everybody's going to be there. So when you're setting your price, focus on your target audience and set the price that you want, because this is a lesson learned for me. There are people out there who will pay whatever. You just have to know who you're targeting. So what approach do you guys take? Maybe Ashley, do you take when setting your prices, and how do you handle those bargainers?
So the price is the price.
Yeah.
That is how we handle the bargainers, or those that want to bargain. But this is the thing. You're paying for my expertise. You're paying for the years that I studied and honed in on my craft. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the quality of ingredients. So, like I said, you sit down, especially with cakes and the way prices are with eggs and stuff like that. Like, you have to take all that into consideration. And when those prices go up on things, then the price on the cake has to go up, and then people are like, oh, that's too, like, I literally had a customer say, oh, I'm not paying that much for a cake. You're just making it and putting it, you're going to mix it and put it in the oven and throw some icing on it. No, there's more to it than that. Like, you come to me with this design, I have to plan how I'm going to execute it. I've got to plan to see who has what product in stock, especially if it's something custom.
Yeah.
And then if it's something really custom that I have to make, now I have to go and get creative and research and figure out, how do I make a cake to be shaped like a hamburger?
Yeah.
Like, there's research that goes into it. So, and all of that is a part of the price, because that is my time. You are paying for my time and the expertise that I bring. And so it took me a while. I struggled with pricing in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, it was, people really gonna pay this for a cake. I was working on some cookies the other day, and my parents were in town, and my dad was like, well, how much are you gonna charge for those cookies? I said, $5. He said, nobody's gonna pay that for a cookie. I said, and people are paying $5 for a crumble cookie. And I know my cookie is better than a crumble cookie.
Yeah.
And it's bigger. And he was like, well, I didn't think about it like that. And it's like, I know my worth. I know the quality of what I'm bringing to the table.
Yes. So as you mentioned that, I have a question for Stephanie then. Her dad said, who's going to pay that? How do you handle the naysayers? Or do you even have naysayers around you? Because it's important for us to, once we find them, we shift them to the curb and keep them away from us. How do you guys handle the naysayers that say, no, that's not going to work? Why are you even trying that?
Oh my God, like the naysayers, like when you do some research on who a network marketer is, right? We are sometimes aligned with people who they think are pyramid schemes, we're scammers, we're taking people's monies, and when you really do your research on what network marketing is, network marketing actually is one of the top professions in even the US, and it's where a lot of the top income earners are. Now, when you are trying to sell a concept to somebody that's not open-minded, right? Then there's a lot of naysaying that happens, especially on social media. And I've learned too that people fear what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
People fear what they don't know. So if they don't know about network marketing, they're immediately going to propel those fears on you. So I get those a lot, especially when I reach out in the cold market, to people that I don't know on social media. What is it that you're in? It's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme. You keep scamming people and all of that. But one of the things that you spoke about as it relates to the cake is that, again, it has to go back to the target audience. Like, who are you prospecting? Who are you targeting? Who do you want to start the business? When I started the business, Yannick, I was reaching out to everybody that could crawl and walk. I wanted them to join the business, right? I wanted them, and I ran into a situation where they joined the business. I had a girl that quit. Like, she started the business Monday. By Wednesday, she canceled. And she was like, I thought we're supposed to be a little bit quicker. And I was like, what? Wow. Like, what did I actually put out there for you to actually come in this business to think that you can make money by Wednesday? Like, what? Like, that was like, I still have it as a top story in my head. Start Monday, quit Wednesday. And I was like, oh my God. So I started to work on what I'm putting out there, right? As a marketer to the audience to attract the right people. And I find that even yesterday I enrolled somebody into the business. Yannick, the person that I enrolled, the first time I saw her face was when she sent me a picture for me to welcome her to the team. I spoke to this person completely online. She knows what I look like, but I don't know what she looks like, right? And this is somebody that said to me that she's watched me for years on social media. I didn't even know who she is. She enrolled yesterday, right? So the right people will find you. With the naysayers, you just have to just keep improving your mindset and just also with your marketing, move out of the situation where you are attracting them. I wanted to piggyback on what you said about the cookie, right? As a travel advisor, it's slightly different. You have people coming to us wanting a luxurious experience and they want to pay peanuts. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. You are going to pay for the experience that you want. If you want a butler service, if you want swimmer pool, that payment is way different from going to a bed and breakfast where you might get a continental breakfast in the morning. Like, the experience is completely different. But when I tell you that when you change the people that you're attracting, even in the business, starting out as a travel advisor, you're thinking that nobody's going to pay $4,000 for a vacation. $4,000 for a week. Listen, people take out their money and pay for the things that they want. to
Facts.
experience. You understand? And you might be thinking with your pocket and saying, boy, I would never pay that for a trip. But
Right.
listen, you have people that saved up for sometimes years to go on particular trips, right? And when they submit that deposit sometime, even as a business owner, I'm like, wait, they actually
Mm-hmm.
made the deposit on their trip. So again, it's about attracting the people that you want in the business. Like the naysayers, they will always be there, right? But as a
Yeah.
business owner, once your mindset is strengthened, you will know how to navigate that little muddy area right there.
Perfectly said. So, as we wrap up, if you could give one piece of advice to a woman just starting out in business, what would it be, Ashley?
Give yourself grace. And that is not just in business, that is overall life.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace. I think we don't do enough of that. We are always browbeating ourselves about what we didn't do, how we could have did something better. We're always downplaying the things that we could have done better versus looking at how far we've come.
Yeah.
The progress that we have made. No, we don't really cheer ourselves on. We're not our biggest cheerleaders. We don't champion for ourselves. So give yourself grace and be proud of who you are and what you've accomplished, because I promise if you just take a step back and look back over the years at stuff you've accomplished, you'll be surprised at what you've really done, even when you think you haven't done anything at all.
I love that. What about you, Stephanie?
It
Any
would be
advice?
it would be definitely along those lines to add to Ashley. But one other point that we probably will touch on a little bit later on, Yannick, is emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
In my business, I work with a lot of women, right? A lot of women are attracted to doing the travel business. And even as a woman in business, that's something that I consistently have to work on. Like, not everything you should take personally. Like, sometimes it's just business. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just business, right? So for a woman that's starting out as a business owner, that's something that I personally like pride myself in working on consistently. Like when I started out, everything that you said to me, I was like, she's attacking me. You know, she don't see my work. Like, imagine she sent me that email. Like, everything is about you. You
Yeah.
know, you get so consumed in like, oh my God, can you believe that, sister? And you get into the side talk with your sisters to talk about, okay, Yanni, did you hear what you said?
Yeah.
Like all of that gossiping and stuff like that. But as you grow and as you strengthen your mindset, you realize that it's just business. Like it
Mm-hmm.
really is just business. So for a woman that's starting out, like there's a lot of work that we have to do as women when we start business that sometimes we don't figure it out
Yeah.
until we're actually in the business. Then we figure out, oh my God, these things still trigger me. Like this still hurts me. Like why when somebody says this to me, it bothers me so much, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it has nothing to do with the transaction that is actually happening right there, but it's something that really happened in our past that's really still affecting us. And really and truly, we're not navigating properly right now because we have not dealt with that in the past. So as a woman in business that's still working on that emotional intelligence part,
Mm-hmm.
if you're coming in, like, you know, spend some time. Like there's a book that's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 that we read that really help us to figure out, you know, how do we approach certain situations? What do we do? How do we calm down? How do we set those boundaries? Right? What are our triggers so that when we are doing business, we do just business and we do it very well so that we can be taken seriously all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then our personal brand is out there as someone that is professional that can handle business when it's just business, right? Emotional intelligence.
That's great. All right, guys. Anything that I didn't ask that you think it's important for our listeners to know?
Well, it didn't ask this, Yannick, but I like to talk about the topic a little bit, and I kind of had it on my notes a little bit when it comes on to an abundance mindset. And you and I kind of share a similar story as relates to this, because I'm from humble beginnings. I know that you are from humble beginnings too. And when I started out in business, it took me a while to really step up to the plate and really think big, not
Mm-hmm.
think scarce, not think that the money is going to run out, not want
Mm-hmm.
to invest in myself, not want to pay a coach or to buy a course or to attend a session or an event because I'm thinking, oh my God, I just made this profit. How dare
Yeah.
I spend the profit and go to an event and just trying to hoard all of that money because I don't want to lose it. Because that's what I'm accustomed to growing up. You see your mother sell, make a little money, they're putting it
Mm-hmm.
aside because it's to put you to school tomorrow, right? So they're not really thinking long term about any situation. They're just living day to day or week to week. But as a business owner, one of the things that I've learned to do is just to think abundantly, to think that nothing is running out. It's all
Yeah.
there in abundance. It's all there for all of us. Not because Yannick just started a podcast. It doesn't mean that all the podcasting is gone and finished.
Yeah.
We all can start podcasts. We all can do similar things,
Yeah.
right? But shine in our own way. So just the whole issue of abundance and thinking big is a big piece of my growth and my development. So I was just talking to my sister the other day, and I was saying to her that it got so bad that I wouldn't even go into brand stores and try on the shoe as yet, because in my mind I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't afford that yet. When I
Yeah.
can afford it, I'll go in the store. I don't want to go on a house hunting because I really don't have the money as yet to buy the house. But I'm forcing myself to say, sign me up for it. You have a house tour happening, I'm coming, right?
Yeah.
There's a shoe store that has a brand name shoe, even though I don't have a dollar in my pocket to buy it right now, I'm going to try on that shoe. Because when I
Yeah.
get the money now, I know what the cost is, and I can actually go ahead and get that shoe, right? So just that big abundance thinking is really a key point too as you build your business.
And it acts as a motivation as well. So if you try on that shoe and I love the way it fits, I really want this, you're going to do everything that you can to get to the money. And so, and by everything, I don't mean go out there and do anything that you're not supposed to do. So, but you're going to put in the work. For me, my biggest motivation is my son. And so everything that I do it with him in mind, knowing that I want him to enjoy a life that I didn't have. Stephanie mentioned we're from humble beginnings. I grew up in the deep, deep inner city of Jamaica. My mom had four of us, single mom. She struggled a lot, and I saw that. And so that is my drive. That is my passion to ensure that my son doesn't have the same experience that I had, because it's not something that I want for kids to experience. And that's kind of one of my drive, is to go out there and help kids in the inner city to see the light. A lot of people told me I wouldn't make it out. So you have to have that abundant mindset. You have to think bigger than what is in front of you. I am the first person, and I think Stephanie too, the first person in my family to have a degree to buy a car, because what I thought I started to think bigger. So just bear those things in mind as you navigate your journey. And also, Stephanie told a story earlier about this young lady who started on Monday and ended on Wednesday. If you are looking for a get rich scheme, if you think that you're going into business and by the end of the month, you're supposed to have all the money in the bank, business is not for you. Simply put, business is not for you. It doesn't work like that. You have to put in the work. You are going to experience a situation where you try something and it didn't work and you have to adjust. I started this podcast 2 months ago, and I've had to adjust. I've had to change the way that I do things. This week I do it this way. I look at it and say, okay, no, I can modify this. I can do it. I can increase this. I can, you change things around based on what you learn, but you have to try. You can't just sit around and say, you know what, I'm not even going to try at all. That's that. All right. Ashley, any advice, final advice for the listeners?
I want to piggyback on the abundance mindset. I will say that sometimes that mindset is hard to grasp, but don't give up on grasping that mindset, because once you adopt that mindset, you will be amazed at the things that you can accomplish. And you will be amazed at the abundance that you start to experience. But also note that that is not always limited to monetary.
Yeah.
A lot of times that abundance shows up in ways that you never thought imaginable. And I'll share this, and then we kind of move forward. Changing my mindset and having more of an abundance mindset allowed me opportunities I never thought it would. Working out, I go to the gym 6 days a week, and one of the young ladies in the gym, she and I had developed a friendship, and told her I had lost my job. Well, at the meantime, her son was in the hospital sick. She started a business from his bedside. I did not, again, was not thinking about starting a business, wasn't thinking about doing any of that. She helped me, kind of talked me into the starting my own business, but the abundance mindset also has me working as a contractor with her for her virtual assistant business, where my mindset was stuck on trying to find a 9 to 5, and the abundance mindset shifted in, and now here it is. I pretty much have 2 or 3 different things that I can pull from for income because I shifted my mindset.
Yes. I definitely understand the abundance mindset. I tell myself that, God forbid, I should lose corporate. But if I do, I have such a creative mind. I have my books. I have my coaching business. I have my graphics. There's something that I can turn to. And so while I may be all over the place to some, the facts still remain, I have a creative mind and I can turn to any one of these directions. So, guys, that brings us to the end of an amazing session. We touched on quite a number of things. There were a few things mentioned as it regards to understanding your finances and stuff. And if you did not listen to our budgeting and saving conversation, you can go back to the previous weeks and listen to that one. But before we end, and if y'all know, I don't just end, I have to do my rapid fire questions. So, so are you guys ready for that? Yes? Okay. All right.
I guess.
It's easy. It's only 4 questions. One word to describe your business journey so far.
Enlightening.
Intentional.
And I'm definitely going to go with resilience. All right. Favorite way to unwind after a long day? For me, it's playing with my son.
For me, unwinding, listening to music loud in my ears just makes my day. Yeah.
It used to be baking. Now I'm probably going to say it's coloring.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I have a coloring book and markers, and it definitely takes me to a place where I forget everything that's going on.
That's good. What's your biggest pet peeve in business?
Lack of communication.
That's mine too, but I'll say people who just can't be straight. And Stephanie, what's yours?
People who give up quickly, like people with weak mindset. Like the tolerance level for them, I don't know if because I have grown past that area and I should really have some patience, but people that give up quickly, and the people that give up quickly, their situation has not changed.
Yeah.
They started the business because they wanted to better their life, help their family, help their children, help themselves, and they stop, and it's the same. And I'm like, why?
That's like the people who refuse to start their degree because 4 years seems long, but then 4 years later, they're still in the same position. All right. One book or podcast every woman entrepreneur should know or listen to. I'll go. Successful Women Think Differently: 9 Habits to Make You Happier, Healthier, and Resilient. And this is by Valerie Burton.
For me, The Slight Edge by Jeff Holson. And this book really talks to you about doing the simple things consistently will give you the results that you want, right? It can either bring you up, those simple things consistently, or they can bring you down, right?
So mine is probably, it's not really a business book, but this book was very instrumental in a lot of things for me. The Pilgrimage.
Okay.
So this is the same author who wrote The Alchemist. But this particular book talks about a guy who was on his journey to the road to Santiago, and he is focused on finding the sword versus paying attention to the journey and learning what he is supposed to learn along the journey. And so throughout this book, there are, I think, about 7 or 8 different exercises that it asks you to do along with them. And one of them definitely is mind-blowing and mind-changing, making sure that you go about your daily activities and you're in such a rush that you don't really pay attention to the things that are around you. So it tells you to slow down and really take inventory of the things that are going on around you, and it really helps you to be more present.
Yes. All right, awesome. Well, that wrapped up our rapid fire segment. So thank you so much, Stephanie and Ashley, for sharing your insights and your stories. This episode has been packed with wisdom and real life lessons, and truly, I appreciate you guys being able to just share and allowing us to learn from what you have to share. So, to our listeners, remember that building a business is as much about resilience and support as it is about the work itself. So don't give up too easily. Try until you succeed at whatever you're doing. If today's conversation has inspired you, be sure to stay connected and keep pushing towards your dreams. Until next time, keep building your blueprint. Thank you, guys. All right.
Yay!
Yeah, we did it.
Wake up to a dawn that whispers hope, chasing dreams with heart and scope. Unique, it guides us through the strife, building blocks of a better life. Money flows like rivers wide, budget smart, keep your pride. Entrepreneurial spirit high, reach for stars, touch